Well, it's hard to believe, but it's already been 2 years since we first bought this 2023 BMW 3 Series.
And in today's video, we're going to be doing a long-term video update where we talk about our several problems that we've encountered so far, the general wear and tear on this vehicle after 2 years, as well as things like our service experience. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in.
Now, before we begin here with our first section, which will be problems, I do want to say that it is our job to pay attention to the little details and nitpick in a way. We are experiencing this vehicle, and we want to pass that along to you transparently in its fullness. So just be aware, some of these things might seem a little nitpicky to you. We're not saying we don't like the car, but we're just pointing them out so that everyone will know what they're getting into. Now, as far as that first problem, that is with the vent on the left-hand side of the driver's steering wheel. This vent developed a buzzing, kind of rattly vibration that started to come. It was definitely very pronounced when you're driving on a rougher road. It was just making kind of an irritating buzzing sound. This was something fairly easy to remedy. We took it to the dealership. They did replace that vent under warranty.
And now let's go ahead and get into our second problem. Before we do that, I do want to just go ahead and define problem. That is something that requires replacement or is a general inconvenience in the ownership experience. Now, what is our second problem? Well, it has to do with these little guys right here, our key fobs. So after about 1.5 years, so about 6 months ago, every time we would get in the vehicle and start it up, you know, as you can see, it starts up just fine, but actually every time we get in the car, it would give us a message on the dashboard that said the key fobs were dead. They still operated actually perfectly fine, and you know, it took us a while to get to the dealership, so we actually know that they were pretty operational for at least a month extra after that, and both fobs were saying the same message that they were dead. Now, we took it to the dealership, and they replaced both of the key fob batteries, courtesy of the warranty, and that did fix our issue.
Now, the third problem is a pretty familiar one if you watch the 1 year update, and that was the fact that the trunk was making a squeaking sound because the arm actually was rubbing against this carpet. The dealership, I should say, actually adjusted this previously. It started to do it again, then they adjusted it again.
Now, moving on to our fourth problem, that's going to have to do with the overall hybrid system or the software relating to the hybrid system. We've ran into a couple different glitches over our 2 years of ownership, most of which happened in the last 6 months, actually. And that first glitch was the fact that, you know, this is a 330e, so this is a plug-in hybrid. And we would plug in the vehicle, and we'd notice that sometimes it would just stop charging entirely. So a couple different instances, we would plug in the vehicle and, you know, leave it completely overnight. It's really supposed to charge up in about 2 hours, and notice that it actually didn't charge hardly at all, maybe just a few miles at a time. And do keep in mind, we have a charging station. We review cars for a living, so we plug in other electric vehicles and the charger is working just fine.
Now, the next glitch actually occurred when I came out of the gym one night. I was very hot, and I got in the vehicle, I powered it on, and it popped up this mysterious message where it said climate is unavailable. And it said that I needed to drive for a while before it would be able to give me air conditioning. It was very strange. I took some pictures of it and documented it. Then I did what it said, and indeed, it took maybe a minute or two, but after I started driving, the air conditioning was able to power on. But before that, it was just blowing more hot air right in my face. And then the third glitch we had with the hybrid system and the software revolved around the battery pack. This was really just a few weeks ago. It sent me this mysterious notification that said the starter battery was severely discharged and that I needed to plug it in, even though the main part, the big battery, was at least 50% charged at the time. It was telling me I still needed to plug in, or else I was going to get that starter battery and have that completely run out of juice, apparently. So I did what it said, I plugged it in. It's been fine since then, but it was a little bit mysterious how it gave me that message out of the blue.
If you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars.
So hopping in with wear and tear, how has the BMW held up over 2 years? And I do want to point out our mileage. We just crossed over 16,000 miles before filming this video. So a decent amount, about 8,000 miles a year. And overall, I have only good things to say about the wear and tear. The paint is super easy to keep clean, even if it is very dirty. It actually looks still pretty clean from a distance. The overall paint itself is in really good condition as well. I haven't even noticed a single rock chip on this vehicle. And I mean, arguably, we don't drive a lot on the interstate, so a lot of that has to do with driving conditions in general. But overall, the paint is looking fantastic. Also, really everything in the vehicle is aging very gracefully. Everything fits together well. When you shut the door, it still has that very solid German characteristic. That being said, we have had an issue when it comes to wear and tear, and it's right up here in the front with the tire. So we had a big tire bubble actually appear. It was a little bit interesting because it appeared when we weren't even driving the vehicle. It was like 3 days since the last time we had drove it, and we went in the garage and noticed that there was a giant bubble on the tire itself. Of course, that's very serious, and you do need to get the tire fully replaced, and that's when we learned that the tires are very expensive. Of course, it's a German luxury vehicle. And of course, because this is a plug-in hybrid, it has low-profile tires. They're also low rolling resistance and run flat. So it's kind of a special order tire. And we had to go to the BMW dealership because they were actually the ones that could get the tire the fastest. It took them about a day or so to get the tire in stock, and then they installed it the very next day, but it was a $400 expense.
Now, outside of that ouch from the price tag of the tire, the interior is really holding up excellently. One of the things I do want to point out is, of course, that we have the synthetic red leather, and one of the things I really like about it is just how little it has aged. Both of us wear jeans quite often. I know a lot of cars you can get that transfer of the blue onto the seat. Don't see that happening at all with these seats, and again, no wear and tear whatsoever. Also, just in the interior in general, compared to a lot of the most modern and recent vehicles, there's not a lot of piano black inside of this vehicle, so there's very little things to get scratched up. All this center area, for instance, is finished in this beautiful open pore wood. This is actually something that BMW is moving away from, and I kind of wish that they wouldn't do that because this is really holding up very well.
And now that we moved on from wear and tear, we're going to talk about just a general annoyance that we've had with this vehicle, and really that's going to relate to the hybrid system itself. We have noticed that it is a little bit on the rougher side. We bought a 2025 Toyota Camry, which for those of you that don't know is hybrid exclusive, and that really points out that this BMW hybrid system is certainly not as smooth when it comes to engine handoff, when it has to go onto engine power. Also, the brake regen, the brake pedal feels kind of weird. It's definitely a difficult vehicle to brake. We highlighted that really in our 1-year ownership update, as well as it has sometimes a rough second gear. So this has a traditional transmission. So when it's under electric power, going into that second gear, it can kind of be a little rough at times.
Now the next section is recalls. This is going to be super quick because only 3 recalls have impacted any of the 2023 3 Series models. None of those recalls impacted this model specifically because they were very small recalls. So that's very good, I think, to not have any recalls impact our model. And then let's roll into our cost to own. So obviously, as we were talking about earlier, we did have some things done at the dealership. All those things were covered under warranty. You see all those nice 000. That's what you like to see as a owner of a vehicle, a nice total of 0. And critically, this vehicle does come with BMW's complimentary maintenance as well, which runs for 3 years. And that's really going to save a lot of money because, as you probably know, German vehicles have pretty expensive general maintenance. But the fact that it's covered for those first 3 years is going to keep you from having to pay out of pocket for any of that.
And with Drew's mention of all that service stuff, I do also want to point out they even do some cool things, at least our dealer does, of giving you a service loaner, first of all. And then second of all, when you take it in for your annual maintenances, they actually go through all of that in a video clip. So you can actually see your vehicle on a lift where they go through all of the really cool in-depth impressions of your vehicle and how it's doing. Now, moving aside from that, I do want to mention a couple things. As far as fuel efficiency is concerned, in 2024, we averaged around 42 miles per gallon. Now, keep in mind that does, factor in the fact that we charged the vehicle in between. Actually, our e-drive share, which is how much driving we did under electric power versus gas power, was around 38% this year, and the rest of it was under gasoline power. We did a couple longer road trips, which definitely impacts that a little bit. Some months we do about 65% on just fully electric power. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, something to keep in mind is that this vehicle takes premium fuel, so it is a little bit more expensive, to fuel this vehicle. Although on gasoline only, it gets about 34 miles per gallon. So it's actually really good fuel economy. The only thing I could think to complain about is really the fact that it only has a 10-gallon tank. So it's kind of annoying in a sense if you do a lot of longer road trips. This 330e specifically has a really small fuel tank, so the range is not big. And another cost associated with owning a vehicle is, of course, insurance. Now, this is going to vary, on a variety of factors, your age, your driving record, et cetera, et cetera. We do have a very clean driving record, but we are on the younger side, as you can see. Our insurance is about $1,800 a year for this BMW 330e. It's worth noting that's actually less than our 2025 Toyota Camry, but our insurance definitely has gone up in the recent years. Ever since we first bought this vehicle, I think that's pretty much across the board for all vehicle insurance at this point.
Now, one thing you're probably also wondering about is how does the tech hold up? And this we have very positive things to say about. Compared to especially like our 2025 Camry, where we're always having glitches and problems out of its technology, this has given us basically no problems with this infotainment system. In so many months, and in and out of this vehicle with 2 different types of phones, it really pairs instantaneously. It's always pulled up your wireless Android Auto or your Apple CarPlay. This does get over-the-air updates as well, so it just updates in your garage. It can even give you little holiday themes sometimes when you hop in and it's like Halloween or Christmas, a little thing will play across the screen. It's very thoughtful and very seamless. You don't have to really, be involved with those updates or anything like that. It just does it automatically. The only thing that I kind of wish that they would be able to do is give you the upgrade to the 8.5 version. For whatever reason, BMW is not going to be able to update the 3 Series models from 8.0 to 8.5, which would give you a little bit better climate controls down here at the bottom and just make them a little bit easier to engage with. But overall, once you get used to this vehicle's level of technology, which is high, it's very easy to use and very enjoyable.
And guys, that's going to conclude our 2-year owner update for our 2023 BMW 3 Series. Now, of course, if you want to learn more about this 3 Series, we have tons of videos on the channel. So go ahead and do yourself a favor. Check out our 1-year update as well as all of our other content on this model. We have quite a bit. You'll definitely want to check it out. Also, if you're interested at all in our other long-term vehicle, the 2025 Toyota Camry, we have a ton of videos on that as well. And I do just want to, conclude this video by saying we really love this car. 2 years later, I'm just as in love with it as I was the first day that we took it off the dealership lot. It really is a fantastic choice. It's a great driving vehicle. It's also very efficient in this 330e model. And it's worth noting you can't even buy a 330e anymore. They unfortunately discontinued this version, so we pretty much got one of the very last ones that you could buy, and it really is a fantastic package overall. Not to mention, I think it's better looking than most modern BMWs. Let us know your thoughts on that down below. If you're looking to buy any vehicle, we'd also encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. A link to that is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's where we're leaving off. If you're already a fan and subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. If you're new around here, we'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below to get the latest car reviews, such as this long-term update, as well as other types of automotive content. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.